You had it right there in your hands. You could feel it. The idea, the plan, the version of yourself you were finally becoming. And then something happened. Something small. A bad day. A slow result. A moment where the progress felt invisible. And quietly, without even deciding to, you stopped. Not dramatically. Not with a breakdown or a big announcement. You just faded. You told yourself you were taking a break. You told yourself you would come back to it. But deep down, in the part of yourself you do not like to look at too closely, you already knew. You were done. And here is what makes that so painful. It was not because you lacked talent. It was not because the goal was impossible. It was because of something happening inside your mind that you never understood. Something psychological. Something patterned. Something that has been quietly running your life for years without you even noticing it. That is what this is about. Not to shame you. Not to judge you, but to show you what is actually happening when you quit. And more importantly, to show you what it costs you every single time you do. Let me describe you for a moment. Because I think I know you better than you realize. You are not someone without ambition. That is not your problem. You have ideas. Big ones. You have looked at other people's success and thought, genuinely thought, that you could do that, maybe better. You have started things. Projects, plans, goals, habits. You have had that fire in the beginning. That electric feeling of possibility when everything is new and nothing has gone wrong yet. But somewhere between the beginning and the middle, something shifts. The excitement fades. The results are slower than you imagined. The work is harder than it looked. And suddenly, the thing that felt like your future starts to feel like a burden. So you pull back, you get quiet, you stop showing up, and the dream that felt so real just weeks ago starts collecting dust in the corner of your mind. This is not a one-time thing for you. Think about it honestly. How many times has this happened? How many things have you started and left unfinished? How many versions of a better life have you built in your head and then abandoned before they ever had a chance to breathe? There is a pattern here, and until you see it clearly, it will keep repeating. Here is the truth nobody tells you about quitting. It does not just end the thing you quit. It rewires your brain. Every time you walk away from something difficult before it pays off, you are teaching your mind a lesson. You are teaching it that discomfort is a stop sign. That resistance means you should retreat. That when things get hard, the correct response is to leave. And your brain is an extraordinary student. It learns fast. It generalizes. So the next time you start something new, your brain already has the blueprint. It already knows what to do when the difficulty arrives. And it does what you trained it to do. It looks for the exit. This is why quitting gets easier over time. Not because you are getting weaker as a person, but because you are getting better at the habit of quitting. You are sharpening a skill you never meant to develop. The brain you have right now is the brain you built through every decision you have ever made. And if most of those decisions were to stop when it got uncomfortable, then you have built a brain that is very, very good at stopping. Think about the last time you quit something. Not just what you were feeling on the surface. Go deeper. What were you actually afraid of? Because here is what I've come to understand about people who quit too early. It is almost never really about the thing itself. It is about what the thing represents. When you are building something, working towards something, putting yourself into something, you are making yourself vulnerable. You are betting on yourself. And that is terrifying. Because if you try and fail, you have to face a very specific kind of pain. The pain of knowing you gave it real effort and it still did not work. That kind of failure feels like a verdict. It feels like the universe looked at your best attempt and said, not good enough. So instead, you find a quieter way out. You quit before the outcome is decided. You walk away while the result is still uncertain. Because then you can always tell yourself the story that you could have succeeded if you had stayed. The potential never gets tested. The dream stays intact. And you never have to find out if you're actually capable of it. This is the real psychology behind quitting too early. It is not laziness. It is self-protection. It is your ego building an escape route before the real test begins. But here is what that protection costs you. And I need you to sit with this. Really sit with it. Every time you quit before the breakthrough, you are not just losing the goal. You are losing the evidence. The evidence that you can do hard things. The evidence that you can be trusted by yourself. That you can say you will do something and actually follow through. that when life gets uncomfortable, you do not disappear. Each time you quit, you subtract a little more from your own self-belief. It happens so gradually you barely notice. But it accumulates. And over time, you stop starting things with full belief. You start them with a quiet reservation, a hidden awareness that you probably will not finish, that you never really do. And that reservation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You quit because you do not believe in yourself, and you do not believe in yourself because you quit. The cycle is vicious, and it feeds itself every single time you walk away too soon. There is something else you need to understand. The moment you quit is almost never the right moment to quit. This is not a coincidence. This is neurological. When you are in the middle of something hard, your brain is under stress. It is using more energy than it wants to. It is dealing with uncertainty and effort and the absence of reward. And in that state, it does everything it can to convince you that stopping is reasonable. It sends you thoughts disguised as wisdom. Thoughts like, maybe this is not the right path. Maybe I should reconsider. Maybe the timing is not right. Maybe I should regroup and come back stronger. These thoughts feel like clarity. They feel like self-awareness. But most of the time, they are not clarity. They are escape. They are your brain manufacturing justification for retreat. The people who build great things are not people who never have those thoughts. They have them constantly. The difference is they have learned not to trust those thoughts when they arrive in moments of discomfort. They have learned that the feeling of wanting to quit and the reality of needing to quit are two completely different things, and they do not let one masquerade as the other. You are probably surrounded by noise right now, a constant stream of other people's highlights, their wins, their progress, their finished things. You watch from a distance and you wonder, what is wrong with you? Why does it seem so easy for them? Why do you always feel like you are falling behind? And so you start comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You see the person who has been building for years, and you measure yourself against their result instead of their journey. And when your beginning does not look like their middle, you tell yourself it is not working. You tell yourself you must be doing something wrong. You tell yourself maybe it is just not meant for you, and you quit, not because you failed, but because you cannot tolerate the gap between where you are and where you wish you were. Comparison is one of the most silent and destructive reasons people quit too early. It poisons the process. It makes normal, necessary struggle feel like personal inadequacy. It turns the natural timeline of growth into evidence of your own failure. And if you do not learn to protect yourself from it, it will rob you of everything you ever try to build. Let me talk about what happens right before the breakthrough, because this is something nobody warns you about, and it might be the most important thing in this entire conversation. Right before something starts to work, it almost always looks like it is not working. There is a phase in every meaningful pursuit where the effort is high and the visible results are low, where you are putting in the work and the work seems to be disappearing into silence, where you wonder if any of it is accumulating, if any of it matters. This phase is brutal. It is designed to filter out the people who are only in it for the quick reward, and most people quit here, right here. In the valley before the climb becomes visible, they look at the silence and they read it as failure. They look at the gap between effort and result, and they decide the equation does not balance. So they stop, and they never see what was about to happen. They never see the compound effect that was already building beneath the surface. They never experience the moment where everything they put in starts paying out. Not because it was not coming, but because they left one day, 1 week, one decision too early. You have done this. I know you have. You have stood at the edge of something that was about to change and walked away. And somewhere in you, you know it. You can feel the weight of the things you almost had, the goals you almost reached, the person you were almost becoming. That weight is not here to punish you. It is here to show you something. It is telling you that you are still capable of caring, that the dream is not dead, that the version of yourself you keep glimpsing is still possible. But it requires something from you that is uncomfortable to face. It requires you to stop running from the hard part. It requires you to decide, really decide, that you will stay when it gets difficult, not because it feels good. It will not feel good. But because you are finally tired of finding out what quitting costs you. So what do you actually do? How do you stop being someone who quits too early and become someone who sees things through? It does not start with a massive transformation. It does not start with willpower or a perfect plan or finally finding your motivation. It starts with a single, quiet, honest decision. The decision that from this point forward, you will not trust your impulse to quit when you are under pressure. That is it. That is the first step. Not a commitment to never struggle or never doubt, but a commitment to stay in the room even when every part of you wants to leave. You build that commitment the same way you build anything, one small act at a time. You stay 5 more minutes when you want to stop. You do the work on the day you least want to do it. You show up again after the day you did not show up. And every single one of those moments is a deposit into something that matters more than any single goal. It is a deposit into your own self-trust, into the evidence that you are someone who does not quit when it gets hard. Your environment shapes you more than you want to believe. If you are constantly surrounded by distraction, your ability to stay with difficulty shrinks. Every time you reach for your phone instead of sitting with discomfort, you are training yourself to escape. Every time you fill silence with noise instead of letting yourself think, you are running from yourself. And you cannot build a life while running from yourself. You have to learn to sit in the discomfort, not because suffering is noble, but because everything worth building lives on the other side of discomfort, and the only way through is through. Put the phone down. Create space that asks something of you, not sometimes, consistently. Because consistency is not about intensity. It never was. It is about showing up even when it is small, even when it is quiet, even when nobody is watching and there is nothing exciting about what you are doing. The people you admire did not get there through occasional bursts of brilliance. They got there through ordinary days done right, repeated long enough that they became something extraordinary. Stop waiting for the version of yourself that is ready. That version is not coming before you start. That version is created by starting. You will not feel brave before you act. You will feel brave because you acted. You will not feel confident before you stay with something difficult. You will feel confident because you stayed. Everything you were waiting for is on the other side of the action you keep postponing. This is not a metaphor. This is literally how the brain works. Confidence is built through evidence. Evidence is built through action. And action requires you to move before you are comfortable, before you are certain, before you have every answer. You have to be willing to be bad at something long enough to get good at it. You have to be willing to look unpolished long enough to become refined. That discomfort is not a sign you are on the wrong path. It is a sign you are on the only path that matters. Here is what I want you to do today, not tomorrow. Today, go back to the thing you quit, or start the thing you have been afraid to start. Not because it will be perfect. It will not be. Not because you are ready. You are not. But because every single day you wait is another day the pattern runs your life instead of you running it. Take one step, just one, and then take another tomorrow. Not for the goal at the end. Do it to prove something to yourself. Do it to begin rebuilding the relationship between who you say you are and who you actually show up as. That relationship is everything. Without it, no goal matters. With it, nearly every goal becomes possible. You are not someone who cannot do hard things. You are someone who has been convinced that the discomfort means stop. And that belief has cost you more than you know. But beliefs change. They change through action. They change through evidence. They change through one day at a time, showing yourself something different. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not behind in some race where the finish line keeps moving. You are exactly where every great story begins. At the part where the person finally decides they are done letting fear make their choices for them. That is where you are, right now. This moment. The only question is what you do with it. Not someday. Not when the conditions are right. Not when the fear is gone, because the fear will not be gone. Do it afraid. Stay in it. Come back to it. Keep going. The version of you that finishes things is not a fantasy. It is the version that is built, one decision at a time, starting right now.